Narcissus are perennial flowers most commonly known as daffodils, the first announcers of the spring season. They are very popular as ornamental flowers in houses, gardens, and parks, providing color from the end of winter to the beginning of spring, not to mention their implementation as key ingredient for perfumes. They've become the national emblem of Wales, and they are traditionally worn on St. David's Day, as this tends to be the time when they start to appear. Legend says that daffodils are linked to cheerfulness and happiness when offered to someone as a bunch, but also symbolize friendship and new beginnings, and given the time when they come out, they are also associated with Easter. The derivation of the Latin narcissus is from Greek narcissus, but according to the philosopher Plutarch, narcissus has been connected to numbness because of the plant's narcotic properties. Said so, its etymology is considered to be clearly pre-Greeks. Other sources say that daffodil is derived from aphrodel, a variant of aspodel, which is a genus of perennial flowers. The narcissus was frequently referred to as the aspodel flower, which in turn appears to come from Greek aspodelos. However, the reason for the introduction of the initial D is not known, but from at least the 16th century, Daffodili and Daffodili have appeared as alternative names. The word daffodil has been widely used in popular culture, from Dutch cars to Swedish rock bands to slurs against homosexual and cross-dresser, as in the film J. Edgar, when Hover's mother explains why real cross-dresser Barton Pincus was called Daffy, short for daffodil, and warns, "I'd rather have a dead son than a daffodil for a son." Further, the plural form of common name Narcissus has been cause of some confusion, and that's why some dictionaries list as Narcissi, Narcissus, and Narcissus. In Greek etymology, it has come to be used for daffodils, but there is no clarity on whether the flower is named for the myth or the myth for the flower, or if there is any real connection at all. The myth has it that Narcissus was a hunter, known for his beauty, which was noticed by all genders, and by Echo, a nymph who fell in love with him, but sadly she was rejected and then left heartbroken. Nemesis, on the other hand, the god of revenge, heard of the sad occurrence and tempted Narcissus to a pool, who eventually became so distracted by his handsome reflection, he fell and drowned inside and then turned into a flower. The character of Narcissus originated the term narcissism, a characteristic that in extreme contributes to the definition of a narcissistic personality, which relates to obviously a psychiatric condition marked by grandiosity, excessive need of attention, and lack of empathy with others, and so on and on. But in connection to this, curiously, it has been suggested that daffodils bending over rivers represent the youth admiring its reflection, which in a way, it sounds quite poetic. Long celebrated in art and literature, narcissus are associated with a number of themes in different cultures, ranging from death to good fortune and to the spring season. For example, in Persian literature, they are a symbol of beautiful eyes, whereas in Western countries, they are associated with spring festivals such as Lent and Easter. In Germany, the wild narcissus are known as the Easterbells, whereas in the UK, the daffodil is sometimes referred to as the Lenten lily, which is the traditional trumpet shape of the narcissus, being the first of the narcissus to be called daffodil, and it is believed to be the mother of all modern daffodil varieties. Lenten lily, though, is due to the fact that they very often bloom around Ash Wednesday, the beginning of the Lenten season. Although popular as ornamental flowers, some people consider daffodils unlucky because they hang their heads implying misfortune somehow. Especially white daffodils, they are associated with death and they've been called grey flowers, like in ancient Greece, where they were planted near tombs. The poet Robert Herrick describes them as a portent of death, and he refers to it in the myth of the Persephone and the underworld. Although there is no clear evidence the flower's name derives directly from the Greek myth, this link between the flower and the myth became firmly part of the Western culture. The daffodil is the most loved of all English flowers and appears frequently in English literature. Many English writers have referred to the culture and symbolic importance of narcissus in various pieces of writing. No other flower has received more poetic description except the rose and the lily, with poems by John Gower, Shakespeare, for example, Shelley, Keats, and William Wordsworth. In the visual arts, daffodils are depicted in 3 different contexts: mythological, floral art, or landscapes. The Narcissus story has been popular with painters as well, and the Persephone theme is also typified by Waterhouse in his Narcissus, the recurring flower pattern by the Dutch painters Jan van Scorel and the post-impressionist Van Gogh. Speaking of William Wordsworth, there is one of his poetry titled as "I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud," which says, "I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. Then thousands saw I at glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not be but gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth that show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon the inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils." After the flower, the process of biological deterioration starts and affects the leaf and root, which put the plant in a sort of dormant stage until the following spring. Obviously, if the conditions are right, the height varies between 5 and 80 centimeters depending on the species, of course, and a successful daffodil field can bloom for up to 50 years. For them to flower at the end of the winter or early spring, bulbs must be planted ideally between September and November, as they need 12 weeks of cold weather to get them ready to bloom. They do well in standard soil, but they flourish best in rich soil. They also like being exposed to the sun, but they don't dislike the shade, so they are quite versatile.